Welcome to the 150. I'm your host, Coach Moon, and I'm glad that you tuned in today. This has been a long time coming, but it's here. This is the podcast, the 150. This channel is basically going to be a podcast where we are not going to be aiming for 100% or job well done in anything that we talk about or do. 150% or breakthrough is the idea. Because how many of us know that scratching on the surface only keeps us in cycles, keeps us stuck in cycles, or reaching for somebody else's ceiling keeps us limited and unfulfilled? How many of you feel unfulfilled? I've been unfulfilled for years in my life. Years. Had to climb out of some real dark places. Scratching on the surface didn't get me out of those places. Here we're going to go deeper. We're going to go deeper into those places that were shaped by our upbringing, our programming, and our traditions that taught us to consciously and subconsciously stay stuck. Yeah, we're going to challenge the status quo. We're going to challenge what's normalized. We're going to challenge a lot of that stuff. Because, again, we cannot get free scratching on the surface. We got to dig deep. We got to rewire. We got to rebuild. We got to unlearn bondage. That's the only way that we're going to get free. That's what this channel is about. This channel is about getting free spiritually, emotionally, and economically. Yeah, those are some real deep topics that we struggle with. And they all are interconnected. We're going to see that as we continue to discuss it. But just note that this will not be about empty rituals. This is not going to be surface level conversations. This is going to be 150% real talk, real transformation, and real freedom. Thanks for joining. Let's get to work. So the very first episode is it was very easy for me to prepare for because I believe that I got a PhD in this particular topic that we're going to be discussing. The topic of discussion today is based off of or comes from an old African-American saying that I've locked in well too many times than I actually wanted to, but I had to. And that statement is, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. How many of us feel sick and tired of being sick and tired? That's the thought, I think, of a lot of people who struggle with cycles, spiritual and psychological warfare. That's the big word for the struggles that we go through every single day. The issues that we can't seem to shake off. The things that continue to come at us regardless of how much we work on ourselves. The things that we acquiesce to or we give in to on a continual basis because it's just difficult for us to break free from those things. And then you get to a place in your spirit and your mind and your heart collectively where you're just like, I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Let's think about that for a second. Let's break that down. Okay. Sick and tired. It basically speaks of a level of frustration that you get when you're just like, I've had enough. I'm done. But of all of the different circumstances and things of that nature that's happened in your life, but this statement is, I'm sick and tired, so I'm frustrated and I'm done with the thought and the idea and just the energy behind being sick and tired. Man. The other day, I was talking to my wife and we were talking about some struggles that we've gone through in some previous times. And one struggle came up and I was talking about it, and the feelings literally came back from the time that it happened, which happened some time ago. And that's generally how it works when whatever you went through was so deep that it has that type of impact on your life. And I remember the feeling in the moment that it was happening of being a grown man wanting to cry. I'm talking wanting tears to just fall out my eyes because the level of frustration was just so high. And the level of frustration was high because I was doing everything that I knew to do right. Like in my family life, with my kids, with my wife, in my social life, the people that I'm connected to, on my job, with my finances, all of these things I'm working on, trying to be better at, trying to make sure that I'm improving every single day. And I felt like I'm taking 2 or 3 steps forward and I get knocked back 100. And I've always been a type of person, since even a youngin, young guy, that always felt that I could get through something, right? Like I was always optimistic, like I can make it, I can do it. You put it in front of me, it might be hard, but I can figure it out. Even if I'm afraid for a minute, I'm still going to figure a way to get this thing done. And that was just completely non-existent. I mean, I think all of us get in that space where we're working on ourselves. We're truly working on the things that we struggle with every single day. And it seems like nothing is going right. Now, check this. Remember, I said, I don't want to scratch on the surface. I want to go deeper into what's happening. So I think a lot of times our expectations is the thing that shapes how we respond or don't respond to particular things that's happening in our lives. And what I mean by that is, if your expectation is to improve and the expectation is strong, where you're like, I'm going to improve in this area, whatever area it is. Let's take finances, for instance. I'm going to improve in my finances. So I'm going to budget, and every single day, every single dollar, every single penny is going to be tracked. And you start doing it, and you start doing it, and you start doing it. You go 1 day, 2 days, you go a week, you go 2 weeks, they go by, and you feel good about yourself. You're like, yes, I'm doing it. And then something happens during the time of you feeling good about yourself. Well, you start to get almost tired or exhausted of the work that it takes to actually maintain that level of accountability to your finances. And it gets like, oh my gosh, like, and it's almost subconscious. It's almost like something in the back of your head is kind of lulling you to sleep to say, all right, you did a great job. You don't have to focus on it now. You okay? Just chill. It's literally like a subconscious lulling to sleep. Like, it's not a voice that speaks clearly and directly where you can challenge and say, no, I'm going to keep fighting. No, it's like, I don't know. It comes sometimes in a subtle pat on the back by somebody who knows that you're grinding. Or maybe it comes from a little bit of progress that happens in your life where you're like, yo, okay, I feel good about that. And that good feeling that you have from the progress sticks around a little too long, to the point where you're like, okay, I've made it. No, you haven't. It's only been 2 weeks. Let's be real. And so that happens if you can think of, many other issues in your life that you're trying to improve. That happens in those areas where we get almost self-sabotage or clipped up by our own progression, our own feeling of, yep, I'm making something happen, our encouragement, I'm motivated a little bit. And I know that we hear the things that encourage us and supposed to push us to, continue to move forward regardless. And hey, look, get yourself up and keep moving. Like, I can hear, a message by one of my, online mentors, like Eric Thomas. I love listening to him sometimes, where I'll listen and he'll give a narrative or story that he's going through. And he's like, at the end of it, like, he's triumphant. And, in the way in which he presents himself makes you feel like, yeah, I can do that too. Let's go, or David Goggins, whenever I work out or I'm challenged to work out, I always listen to, him. And I'll listen or I got a couple books by him, and I'll read some of the things that he's taken himself through. And it's like, yo, like if he can do all of that, I can at least do, I don't know, 10% of that. Like, come on, let's go. Right. And I get motivated. But these moments that I'm talking about are moments where even that doesn't help. It doesn't penetrate. And I've always asked myself, why? Like, how come I'm motivated sometimes when I listen to something? I'm like, let's go. And I'm like, okay, I needed that. Let's move. And I feel like my gas tank has been filled up. And then sometimes I feel like, yo, I don't even care. This get on my nerves. And yes, I know there's a lot of things that are basic, that are simple, that we can apply to, why that attitude exists. It's a lot of it, to be honest, is a lack of patience. It's a lack of patience. It really is. I talk to brother after brother after brother after sister after brother after sister after brother. And most of our struggles stem from not being patient, not waiting. We live in a society today that, you can take popcorn or you can take some food leftovers or whatever it is and just put it in the microwave and put it on 30 seconds, put it on a minute and a half, and bang, it's there. You good. You take a bowl of soup and put it in the microwave, bam, it's done. Back in the day, you had to make it in a pot. It actually tastes better when you make it in a pot, but we ain't gonna go down that road. At the end of the day, most of us have this instant gratification thought process locked into our minds. It's like, that's it. I got to have it when I want it, when I think I deserve it. I mean, 2 weeks have gone by and I'm doing good in my finances. Then finally, after the 2 weeks, I'm like, look, 2 weeks is not hardly enough to be able to get to a point where like my finances is actually making a turn. Okay, I spent years getting into the financial issues that, I face or that I faced. Right? Years. So why in the world do I think that with the resources or maybe a little bit better resources that I'm just going to automatically wipe years of digressive behavior? Just like, no, it doesn't work like that. And I think a lot of times we lock ourselves into that space where, we don't accomplish, or we don't move forward, or we don't finish, we don't continue. Let's say that. We don't continue. Let's get the finish line out of our minds for a second. We don't continue on the course because of a lack of patience. I can't tell you how many young people I've mentored or talked to, and in the conversations, it's like I'll ask questions to them about what they're going through and why they're going through it. And their answers to me always seem to be them answering their own questions. So serious. I'm like, yo, like, okay. And I'm going to be straight. Like, why you sell drugs, man? I don't get it. You killing your people. You killing your chances at any real progression in life. You're digressing, man. Everything you doing with this, you got to look over your shoulder. You got to, worry about, all of the different stresses that come with that lifestyle of selling drugs. And they scratch their head for a second, Yeah, you're right. And then they get into the whole, oh yeah, well, the money piece. And that always becomes the conversation where when you go into the money piece, that becomes the emotional justification for this is why I'm going to continue to do it. Because I make more money than you make in a month, in a day. And look, I am not going to pretend like that is not a motivating factor for especially a young person. It's definitely a motivating factor. But when you factor in some of the realities, okay, I always break it down like this. Look at your daily life. What do you do every single day? What time do you get up in the morning? Oh man, I don't know, sometimes 12, sometimes 1 p.m. Yeah. How long do you stay up at night? 3, 4. Yo, in the morning? Yeah. Uh, what do you eat? Whatever I buy from the store. What? Like junk? That's all you eat is junk? You smoking? You drink? Yep. You partying? You clubbing? Yep. You got 2, 3, 4, 5 people after you trying to fight you, hating on you, maybe trying to kill you because that's what the game talks. The game requires the game requires a certain level of participation in that crazy activity. You got one girl calling your phone up, tripping on you, bugging out. Your baby mama tripping over there, she bugging out. Your baby confused and senses are heightened to a place where they shouldn't be because they are around things that they shouldn't be around, hearing things they shouldn't be hearing. And for some reason, it's like when you break that stuff down in a conversation with them, it's like a light bulb goes off, like reality check. Wait, man, I'm giving all of this. I'm giving all of my efforts and all of my energy towards these activities. But what I'm getting in return is killing me and the people around me. I asked this one guy I said, yo, I'm like, what is it that you want? Because he was complaining about everything around him. Everything. I'm like, man, and I said, okay. And even when I brought up the things that could be considered blessings, he just kept complaining. And I said, what do you want? And the young brother said, I want peace. He said, I just want peace. And I look, okay, let me take that back because he paused for it felt like 2-3 minutes. He was looking around, trying to find an answer. And then finally he said, I just want peace. I just want peace. And for the life of me, although I understand it because I've been in a base mindset before, but I think a lot of times we struggle, again, because we don't have patience. And when you don't have patience, you practice activities that you think are going to get you what you want sooner than what it actually takes. Because there's nothing wrong with wanting money. There's nothing wrong with wanting relationships. There's nothing wrong with the base needs that God has given us, like wanting to have sex, wanting to engage ourselves into entertaining activities. Nothing wrong with that at all. But in order to be healthy, in order to have those things in a healthy way, it takes patience. It means we got to wait. We can't think that, okay, it's okay for me to have sex with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 women in a week because I like sex. It's like, wait, do you know what the ramifications of that's going to be? And when you look at the ramifications, can you now put a calculation in your head and say, okay, look, wait, I want peace. And I want all of these different things. Can I get peace through these different things? And the reality is, okay, well, let's take it. No. The quick answer is no. We're never going to get peace from those things because, and that's a conversation from another, a perspective that we're going to get into for sure. But the reason why I'm bringing it up like this is because this is how young people think. This is how a lot of older people think as well. This is what I've struggled with for years. This mindset of you want something because you think that it's going to give you a certain level of peace or a certain level of satisfaction. And you can't wait for it. So you got to go get it. You got to hurry up and go get it. And hurrying up and going to get it actually reverses the process almost. It messes the process up. It messes the timing up. So the reality is, patience is the one thing that we hate, but it's the one pill that if we take on a consistent basis, that means I got to get out of here. If we take it on a consistent basis, it will begin to fulfill us over time. And the over time becomes a heavier response because we've now trained ourselves to wait. Yeah, so I'm going to say this, y'all. We need to train ourselves to wait. It's hard. Look, I struggle with it. I got to, on a consistent basis, remind myself that waiting is where the blessing is. Waiting, being patient, waiting for that relationship, waiting for things for sprouts to come out of the ground from the seeds that you planted, watering, waiting, pruning and moving trash out of the way, moving different things out of the way, making sure but waiting, and it's going to grow, giving it time to grow. Most of us, we put a seed in the ground and we think it's supposed to grow overnight, and when it don't grow overnight, 2, 3 days, 4 week, whatever it is, even a year in some cases, the progress that we see coming out of the ground, it can be a sprout, it can be a little, a small tree or blade of, I don't know what it is. It could be something that's growing out. And what we do is we get so impatient that we rip all of our progress away, rip the root right out of the ground. And then we get frustrated and we get angry and we get upset with everybody else around us because we're not seeing the growth happen the way we want to see it. All right, news check before I get out of here. Those people are not your problem. Their job's not your problem. Your business not growing, it's not your problem. Our marriage issues, it's not the biggest problem. Our relationships with our children, it's not the biggest problem. All of the outside circumstances that you can name, create your list. Go ahead. It's not the problem. The issue is we don't have enough patience to see something through. Man, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Because I know I am. Woo. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired, y'all. We got to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then that's when we can open up enough to start self-reflecting and seeing areas that we've created for ourselves, and then start making change. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up by saying again, thank you all for joining. Please subscribe if you can. I would love to hear your comments. Would love to hear some of the things that you've struggled with or that you struggle with. And this is a journey for all of us, right? Like, one of the things I'm not going to do is come on here. Yeah, I'm Coach Moon. We're going to talk about that a little later, but I'm not going to come on here and act as though I got everything together and that I'm perfect, because I'm not, right? I am sharing a lot of the things that I have learned and still learning and growing and overcoming. And I would hope that, you all would also share some of those things with me, because I am all ears. All right, I'm not going to belabor anything. Until next time, I always say live 150. Live 150. Love y'all. Love y'all. Love y'all. We out.